Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is FPL Elma, and today we're going to be going through my UEFA Wildcard draft for match day 2 of the UCL Fantasy. That's going to go through some couple, just a good draft, and I hope it's going to help a lot of you guys who are also thinking of using a wildcard in match day 2. I think this wildcard will also be applicable for match day 3, and I think I can as far as going match day 4 as well. But before we get into the video, we are 7 subscribers away from 800. So if you're new around here or you're a regular viewer, you're not yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe, make sure you leave a like, and make sure you hit that bell. Don't miss any content going up on the channel. Not wasting any much time, let's get straight into it. So first off, we're going to start off with the goalkeepers and the defenders. And then so starting with the goalkeepers, we're going to have Chevalier. The reason I've gone for him, that's a cheap playing goalkeeper from PSG at 4.5 million. And of course, PSG don't have the easiest fixtures in the group stage, but I think I'd still have him in there just because of his price range. And then the other person we have is the Atalanta goalkeeper. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to butcher his name. I just think that Atalanta have very good fixtures coming up. They have Club Brugge, they have Slavia Praha, Marseille, and Frankfurt in their next 4 fixtures. So I'd anticipate some clean sheets here and there. Also, talking about clean sheets, I don't think there are a lot of clean sheets in match day 1 either way. I think most of the teams manage to score unless you're the likes of Parfos and Kairat and those kind of teams. So not a lot of clean sheets from the big teams. So I think clean sheets will be something very small, but I think what will give goalkeepers points is just going to be the save points and things like that. So yeah, that's why I'm going for the cheap goalkeepers instead of going for the expensive goalkeepers. And yeah, so that's the goalkeepers. Now for the defenders, we're going to have Akanji at 5 million. Of course, if you want a cheap alternative, you can just go for the Fry, but I think I like Akanji more because for no particular reason, I just like Akanji more really. And Inter have very good fixtures coming up because they play Slavia Praha, they play Union SG, and they play Kairat in their next 3. And you know how we all know how good Inter are defensively. You saw the game against Ajax; they are very good defensively, very good, compact. So I've gone for Akanji in there. Then I've gone for Calafiori for the same reason as Akanji. Really, I just think Arsenal have the best defensive. They're the best defensive. They're the best defensive team in the Champions League, and yeah, they kept a clean sheet in match day 1 as well. If I'm not wrong, I just think they're the best defensive team. Of course, there's a slight risk for rotation because I think Calafiori has played a lot of games since the start of the season. We might see Luis Kelly in there, or maybe we'll see Hincapi in there. So I think that's something to look at. But I've gone for Calafiori, and he's only 4.5 million as well. So yeah, and for Arsenal, they do play Olympiacos, they play Atletico, they play Praha, and then I think they play Bayern Munich. Not easy fixtures, but their fixtures are easy, hard, easy, hard. If you know what I mean. So, but I just gone for him there because I think Arsenal are very good defensively. Then the other defender I've gone for is Hulsen, cheap playing Madrid defender. Of course, Real Madrid don't have the easiest fixtures on paper because they do play Kairat, which is relatively easy, and then they play Juve and Liverpool in back-to-back games. So it's a slight risk, and I don't think Real Madrid are the biggest clean sheet keepers in the Champions League. As you can saw, we saw against Atletico Madrid, they conceded 5. And before the Madrid game, there's a game they conceded, I think, 1 goal to Levante. So not very good defensively. And of course, they've lost one of the defenders during the weekend. They lost Militao. So that's going to be a huge miss. But I just gone for him because he's cheap. Playing for Madrid, chances of a clean sheet are going to be higher than your normal defender. Then the next one I've gone for is O'Reilly. I think he's only 4 million. Cheap playing City defender. Of course, it's City. You don't know when the Pep is going to rotate that team, but I've just gone for him in there. It's only 4 million. They do play Monaco, Villarreal, Dortmund, and Leverkusen in their next 4. Very easy fixtures on paper. Very good return on clean sheets if they manage to keep clean sheets. So yeah, that's what I've gone for him. Then finishing off the defense, I've gone for Eric Garcia from Barcelona. I think he plays. I'm not so sure if he played against Sociedad yesterday night, but I think he plays since of because of injuries to that Barcelona defense. The game I watched, he was very good, very attacking, and that's why I've gone for him. I also cheap, only 4.5 million. Of course, for the tough PSG fixture, I think Barcelona have the easiest running because they play Olympiacos, Bruges, Chelsea, Frankfurt, Slavia Praha, and Copenhagen. So I think I definitely have a Barcelona defender in there. If not Eric Garcia, I will go for maybe someone like Kunde or Araujo in there. Of course, and of course, their keeper is out for long, but they still have Chesney, who's very decent. So I'd say clean sheets are going to be high for them. So that's why I'm going for Eric Garcia. So this is the defense and the goalkeeping department looks pretty solid. Now I've gone for the cheaper side because I've gone big in the midfield and the forward line. So now let's look at the midfield. So before we check out the midfield, I do apologize for the background noise. I'm recording in a very, very noisy area, and if it picked up by the mic, it is what it is. Please bear with me, and apologies for that. So the next midfielder we're going to be going for is Olise, because they're going to be playing against Paphos. Of course, Paphos, I think it's going to be a free scoring game for everyone. And I just hope that Olise will be able to perform in this fixture. He didn't have a bad game against Chelsea, but of course, in fantasy, they're looking for goals and assists and man of the match because it gives a lot of points. So they have very good back-to-back fixtures in Paphos and Bruges, but I also think there's a cheaper alternative to Olise, and it's Gnabry, who looked also good against Chelsea. So I think it's just for you if you want to spread out your funds, you could go for Gnabry and be able to upgrade somewhere else. But I think Olise is just the better of the two. But Gnabry is definitely a very, very good option. Then we have Vinicius Junior. Of course, for Vinicius, I mean, for all Real Madrid players are just targeting that Kairat game. And after that, you can decide on what to do with the Real Madrid boys, maybe apart from the striker we are going to talk about later on. So that's what I'm going for Vinicius. I hope he won't be benched in this game. He's been looking very sharp in the league. So that's why I've gone for him, and I hope he's going to be able to perform. Then we have Yamal. Of course, he's back from injury. He did play yesterday against Sociedad, and he looked very, very, very sharp. He looked like he hadn't missed, I think, 3 weeks of football. He just looked amazing. So I've gone for him against PSG, which is their toughest fixture on paper. And then from there, as mentioned with Garcia, they have the easiest run in the Olympiacos, Bruges, Chelsea, Frankfurt, Praha, and Copenhagen. So I think having Yamal is a must-have. And I think in the future, I think Vinicius Junior to Rafinha is also going to be something popular. So going with the trio of Yamal, Rafinha, and the Barcelona defender, I think is going to be the best approach in the remaining games of the group phase. And then we have Yildiz, of course, a very good match day one, looked pretty good. And if you watched my match day one video, I had him in my team, but removed him, which is something I regretted a lot. So Yildiz in there. You will have very good fixtures as well. They have Villarreal, Madrid, which I think is the hardest fixture. Then they have Sporting, Bodo Glimt, Pafos, Benfica, and Monaco. I think those are very winnable games, and I hope that Yildiz will be influential in all that. I think he's the best player for Juventus at the moment, maybe alongside Vlahovic. But I think Yildiz is very, very good, and I hope he can be able to perform in those fixtures. Then finishing off the midfield, we're going to be having Bagwell. Reason I've gone for him. He's very cheap at only 5 million, and he had a very good match day one as well. So I've gone for him, and they have good fixtures. They have Bodo Glimt, Monaco, and Copenhagen. And I think after those three, it becomes a little bit tough for them. But those three, I think, are uh, very good games to target for Bagwell, and I hope he's going to able to replicate his match day one performance. That's the midfield. Looks pretty solid. Looks full of goals. Now let's look at the forward line. So this is how the forward line is going to be looking like. You're going to be having Kane in there. And I mean, he's just a bagman. You saw what he did against Chelsea. See what he's doing in the league. I think he's already on 10 goals this season. He's just playing out of his mind. Just a pure bagsman. Of course, he can be able to produce assists here and there. I think Ken is a must-have throughout the whole of the UEFA fantasy depending on where Bayern Munich reach. Of course, I think he's just a must-have. Then we have Mbappe against Kairat. I also think Mbappe is a must-have alongside Haaland, so you can debate about Mbappe and Haaland, but I think Kane is a must-have, of course. And then Mbappe, of course, not the easiest fixture after that Kairat game, but I think he's proven that he can be able to score against any opponent. So that's Mbappe. Then we have Turam against Slavia Praha in match day two. I think Turam has very good fixtures for them, and he did score, I think, a brace in match day one, and I also think he's a very decent option to. And of course, he's reasonably priced as well. I also look at the third spot in the if fantasy, the third spot striker. I also look at like someone like Turam, someone like Gurasi, those people who are mid-range in terms of price. So I think also Gurasi is a decent option. Turam is a different option. If you still want Pavlidis, he's not a bad option as well. I think he's also a proper bagsman. But I've just gone for Turam just because of the fixtures and the fixtures that are going to be able to come after this as well, because they do play Praha, USG, and Kairat, and I think I'd want him for those three games. So that's the wildcard team. That's the forward line, of course. This is the wildcard team. I think it looks pretty solid. Looks pretty fun. I think we're able to score a lot of points in match day 2, 3, and 4 with making some small tweaks here and there. But I think it's a very decent team. Let me know down in the comments how you rate it out of 10. And let me know if we're going to be using a wildcard as well. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. DM me on Instagram, TikTok. All the links to my socials are down in the description. If you have managed to reach this far, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you all guys later. Bye bye.